Hello. After a long wait, this morning I received my copy of Generation Identity. I would like to read what I think are the two most pertinent chapters when it comes to our struggle against the radical left and against immigration itself. Chapter 21, On Racism. You've got cause to rejoice, as we have now come to the word you like to say the most, and about the people you hate the most, about racism and racists, who spread their racist ideology in the most racist of ways. You don't quite want to specify exactly what this racism is supposed to be, and why would you? If there was a clear definition, you couldn't accuse everyone you don't like of racism. In the past, there were people who identified themselves as racists and called for the classification of humanity according to genetic characteristics such as the shape of noses and eye color. Today, however, no one speaks of such things, the only exception being you. No one thinks about race anymore, but you continue to hunt for racists as if possessed, since you claim to find hidden racism everywhere. We all reject racism. No one, neither you nor us, desire that people should be discriminated against or oppressed because of their genetic heritage. We limit ourselves to rejecting racism as such, but you want to designate all of your political opponents, including us, as racist. Our clear affirmation of European identity, culture and tradition, our will to keep Europe alive, and a resolve to not be the last European generation are all thorns in your side. You seek to avenge yourselves by interpreting our affirmations of life and of Europe as racism. But is everyone who believes that there are different peoples, cultures, and identities and that this is a good thing really a racist? We won't let this label stick on us. If you smear every affirmation of one's own identity with accusations of racism, then everyone is racist, always was a racist, and will always be a racist. Even you are no exception to this rule. Yes, we could accuse you of racism. Only in this way could one explain your pathological hatred of Europe. We, however, are no racists. Nor are we preoccupied with race and racism as you are. We make our own choices and go our own ways without paying any attention to your baseless accusations, for we are Generation Identity. The next relevant chapter is On Integration, chapter number 34. One day you recognized that your multicultural society faced rejection amongst the European peoples, that Europeans don't want it. Countless lands raised their voices in cries of protest, and right-wing parties won votes. You had to react. So you presented our alien continent with another magical cure: integration. You acted as if integration were something new, as if it were opposite of multiculturalism. In this way you sought to placate the people of Europe, at least until the foreign communities were strong enough in our lands to put a stop to all protests against the multicultural society. So it was you that pulled the wool over the eyes of the European peoples. There are two definitions of integration. You always use the one you found suited to your particular audience of the moment. When you talked to the immigrants, you demanded that they work and master the language of the land. But how do a job and language skills change the fact of a multicultural society? When you talked to the Europeans, you used an entirely different definition of integration. You spoke of Western values and said that eventually one would no longer be able to differentiate the migrants from ethnic Europeans, that they would become culturally identical. You essentially said that with time they would assume a European identity. With these words you sought to placate the Europeans. That worked for a while, but at some point the right-wing parties caught on to your trick and finally demanded a harder integration. That is to say, what you had promised the Europeans. But even this demand is deceptive. What reason would the members of increasingly powerful communities have to join a decadent and dying European culture? How can true integration be possible when non-Europeans are already so numerous that they can live effortlessly in parallel societies? We reject this fake confrontation between you and the populist right-wing parties. We neither want a multicultural society, nor do we want to force members of other cultures to take on our identity. We therefore affirm the following. 68ers, stop preaching a social model that can't work and immediately plunges societies into chaos whenever it is attempted. Right-wingers, stop defaming immigrants. Stop insulting them and blaming them for our mistakes. Stop accusing them of wanting to hold on to their identities. There is nothing crueler than to demand that one give up their very self. Muslims and Africans, take down your tents and leave this continent. Entire regions of the world already belong to you. We'll gladly help you make your homelands better places. Help you to build and shape them. Even more so than European help. Africa and the global East need you and your strength. Return to your home countries, for they belong to you. Europe, however, will never belong to you. Europe belongs to us, for we are Generation Identity.